Admiral Kim Jae-won floated in the command center of his flagship, watching as hundreds of human ships moved through space toward the Malari system. For 50 years, he had commanded what the galaxy thought was Earth's small defense fleet. The aliens believed humans only had maybe 30 old slow ships to protect their home world. They were wrong. Jae-won commanded over 3,000 warships, and this was just one of 12 human fleets hidden across the galaxy. "Admiral," his communications officer said, "we are getting messages from alien governments. They want to know how we have so many ships." Jae-won smiled. "Tell them they will learn soon enough." His ships did not look like the sleek, beautiful vessels that other species built. Human warships were thick and blocky, covered in armor and weapons. The aliens had always laughed at human ship designs, saying they looked ugly and primitive. But ugly ships that worked were better than pretty ships that exploded. In the Malari system, Captain Lee Dongmin's disguised cargo ship was the first to arrive. The Vorthak had 6 large warships blocking the planet, making sure no one could escape or bring help. They were confident and relaxed. After all, who would be stupid enough to attack the mighty Vorthak fleet? Dongmin answered that question by firing every weapon he had. The Happy Trader's missiles moved faster than anything the Vorthak had ever seen. They did not just explode when they hit their targets. They burned through armor like it was paper, then released smaller bombs inside the enemy ships. In 30 seconds, 2 Vorthak warships were dead in space. "This is Captain Lee Dongmin of the Human Space Force," he broadcast to the remaining Vorthak ships. "You have 30 seconds to leave this system or we will destroy you." The Vorthak commander laughed on the open channel. "Stupid human. You are one small cargo ship against 4 of our mighty warships. We will turn you into space dust." Dongmin checked his watch. 20 seconds. The Vorthak ships opened fire with their powerful laser weapons. The beams hit the Happy Trader and did nothing. The human ship's armor was made of materials that the Vorthak had never seen before. Their best weapons could not even scratch the paint. 10 seconds, Dongmin said. More human ships began appearing around the planet. They came out of hyperspace in perfect formation, surrounding the Vorthak fleet in a matter of minutes. The aliens suddenly realized they were not fighting one cargo ship. They were fighting a full human battle group. Major Yoon Mi-young was on the lead assault ship, preparing for the boarding action that would make history. She wore power armor that made her look like a metal giant. The suit was 8 feet tall and covered in weapons. Inside the armor, she felt strong enough to punch through a steel wall. "Teams ready?" she asked her soldiers through the comm system. 20 voices answered her. Each of her soldiers wore the same type of armor. They had trained for this day their entire lives, but the galaxy had never seen them fight. Today would be their first public battle. The Vorthak tried to run, but human ships were faster. They tried to fight, but human weapons were stronger. In 10 minutes, all 4 Vorthak warships were disabled and floating helpless in space. "This is Major Yoon Mi-young," she announced to the galaxy as her boarding pods launched toward the enemy ships. "We are coming aboard to place you under arrest for genocide." The pods hit the Vorthak ships like bullets, cutting through their armor and delivering human soldiers directly into their corridors. Mi-young was the first one through the hole, her armor's lights making her look like a metal demon in the dark ship. Vorthak soldiers tried to stop her. They were 8 feet tall and covered in thick natural armor that made them look like walking tanks. Their claws could cut through steel, and their strength was legendary throughout the galaxy. They had never lost a ground battle against any species. Mi-young hit the first Vorthak soldier so hard that he flew backward through 3 metal walls. Her armor made her stronger than any alien, and she moved faster than they could follow. Behind her, more human soldiers poured into the ship like a flood of metal death. The battle was over in 5 minutes. 20 human soldiers had captured a Vorthak warship with 300 crew members. Not one human was hurt. Dr. Choi Hyun-soo watched the battle from his research station on Earth. For 30 years, he had been selling civilian technology to alien governments, telling them it was for peaceful purposes. They had bought his gravity generators, his power systems, and his communication devices, never realizing they were actually weapons in disguise. The gravity generator could create a field so strong it would crush a ship into a ball of metal. The power system could overload and explode with the force of a nuclear bomb. The communication device could send out signals that would shut down alien computer systems. "Sir," his assistant said, "the Galactic Federation is demanding answers. They want to know how our primitive technology is so much better than theirs." Hyun-soo laughed. Primitive? We have been building machines for war while they built them for show. Every piece of human technology in the galaxy is designed to be a weapon if we need it to be. On the news feeds, alien reporters tried to understand what they were seeing. Human cargo ships that turned into battleships. Human soldiers who fought like legends. Human technology that made no sense according to everything they knew about science. The Federation Council called an emergency meeting. 12 species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years suddenly realized they knew nothing about the humans who had lived among them for 2 centuries. Back in the Malari system, Mi-young stood on the bridge of the captured Vorthak flagship. The enemy commander was tied up in front of her, his armor cracked and his pride broken. "How?" the Vorthak asked. "Your species is weak. You have no military. You are just traders and diplomats." Mi-young removed her helmet, showing her human face. She was young and small without her armor. Nothing like the metal giant who had defeated his entire crew. "We let you think we were weak," she said. "It was easier than having to kill all of you." Around the planet, human ships were rescuing Malari survivors and bringing them medical aid. The aliens who were still alive looked up at their saviors in wonder. These humans did not look like the greatest warriors in the galaxy, but they had saved an entire species from extinction in one afternoon. Admiral Jae-won's main fleet arrived just as the rescue operations began. 300 human warships appeared in the system, their weapons ready for battle, but there was no one left to fight. The Vorthak fleet was captured, their soldiers were prisoners, and their genocide had been stopped. "This is Admiral Kim Jae-won," he broadcast to the galaxy. "The Malari are under human protection now. Anyone who tries to hurt them will answer to us." Across space, alien governments tried to understand what had just happened. The weak humans they had ignored for 2 centuries had just defeated the Vorthak Empire's best fleet, without breaking a sweat. And they had done it with ships and weapons that should not have been possible to build. The masquerade was truly over now. The galaxy had seen human military power for the first time, and they were terrified by what they had learned. But this was just the beginning. Humanity had many more secrets to reveal. Commander Kang Tae-ho stood in the shadows of his underground office, watching the news feed from across the galaxy. His hands were steady, but his heart was breaking. On the screen, Malari children ran through burning streets while Vorthak soldiers shot them down like animals. The Malari were peaceful people. They looked like tall, thin humans with silver skin and large, kind eyes. They had been humanity's first real friends when humans joined the Galactic Federation 200 years ago. Now they were dying, and the galaxy was doing nothing to stop it. Tae-ho touched a button on his desk. The wall opened, showing a room full of screens and maps that no alien had ever seen. This was the real human command center, hidden deep under what everyone thought was just a simple trade building on Earth. Dr. Park Sora walked into the room. She looked tired and angry. For 20 years, she had worked as a peaceful scientist, studying alien biology and telling everyone how much humans wanted to learn and help. But that was all fake. Her real job was learning how to kill every alien species in the galaxy if humans ever needed to. "The Federation Council just voted," Sora said. Her voice was quiet and cold. "They will not help the Malari. They say it is not their business what the Vorthak do." Tae-ho closed his eyes. The Federation was made up of 12 alien species who thought they were smarter and better than humans. They had big brains and fancy technology, but they were all cowards. When something bad happened, they always found reasons to do nothing. "How many Malari are left?" Tae-ho asked. "Maybe 10 million? The Vorthak killed 3 billion in the last month." Sora's hands were shaking. "Tae-ho, I watched them murder children today. Little ones who never hurt anyone. And the Federation just talks and talks about laws and rules while people die." Tae-ho walked to a big red button on the wall. It was covered by clear metal so no one could push it by accident. He had hoped he would never need to use it. 200 years, he said. 200 years we have pretended to be weak and stupid. We let them think we were just lucky to find space travel. We acted like harmless traders who only wanted to sell things and make friends." Sora nodded. She knew the real story. Humans had been in space long before they met the aliens. They had been building secret bases and hidden fleets while pretending to be new to everything. Every human ship that looked like a simple cargo vessel was really a warship in disguise. Every human colony that seemed small and peaceful was really a military base. The aliens thought humans were weak because humans wanted them to think that. It was safer for everyone if the galaxy believed humans were not dangerous. But now the Malari were dying, and safety did not matter anymore. Captain Lee Dong-min appeared on the communication screen. He was floating in space in what looked like a normal cargo ship called the Happy Trader. But Tae-ho knew the truth. The Happy Trader could destroy most alien warships without even trying hard. "Sir," Dong-min said, "I am 3 hours from the Malari home system. My ship looks like it is carrying food and medicine, but I have enough firepower to level a city. What are my orders?" Tae-ho looked at the red button again. Once he pushed it, everything would change. The aliens would learn that humans had been lying to them for 2 centuries. They would see that the weak, peaceful humans were actually the most dangerous species in the galaxy. "Sir," Sora said softly, "I have been pretending to be a harmless scientist while I learned how to kill every alien race we have met. I know which chemicals will poison a Vorthak in seconds. I know how to make a virus that will only hurt their species. I have been preparing for war while smiling and talking about peace." Tae-ho thought about all the humans across the galaxy. They were all pretending to be something they were not. Human traders were really spies. Human diplomats were really military officers. Human colonies were really fortress worlds. And everyone believed the lie because humans were very good at lying. The news showed more Malari cities burning. Vorthak soldiers were laughing as they killed families. The Federation was having another meeting about peaceful solutions while genocide happened in real time. Tae-ho's hand moved toward the red button. "Protocol revelation," he said into his communicator. Those 2 words went out to every hidden human base, every disguised ship, every secret weapon that had been waiting for this moment. Across the galaxy, humans stopped pretending. On the Happy Trader, Captain Dong-min smiled as his cargo ship began to change. The fake walls fell away, showing massive guns and missile tubes. The weak engines that could barely push a cargo load were replaced by drives that could outrun any alien warship. In 10 seconds, the Happy Trader became something that would give alien admirals nightmares. Dr. Sora walked to her public laboratory where she had been pretending to study peaceful cooperation between species. She looked at all her fake research about friendship and understanding. Then she pushed a button and the lab exploded. When the smoke cleared, she was standing in a military research center full of weapons designed to kill aliens in ways they could not imagine. All across Earth, buildings that looked normal opened up to show missile silos and defense systems. The planet that aliens thought was barely protected became a fortress that could fight off entire fleets. And on thousands of worlds that aliens thought were empty, human colonies dropped their hiding systems and showed what they really were: military bases with enough soldiers and ships to conquer half the galaxy. Tae-ho pushed the red button. "This is Commander Kang Tae-ho of the Human Defense Initiative," he said into the Galactic Communication Network. Every alien in the galaxy heard his words. "For 200 years, we have hidden our true nature to keep peace. But peace built on lies is not real peace. Today the lies end." On the screen he could see alien leaders in emergency meetings trying to understand what was happening. They had always thought they knew everything about humans. Now they were learning they knew nothing at all. "The Malari are our friends," Tae-ho continued. "We will not let them die while you debate and make excuses. Consider this your only warning. The galaxy is about to see what humans can really do." The transmission ended. Across space, human ships dropped their disguises and headed toward the war zone. The masquerade was over. After 2 centuries of hiding, humanity was ready to show the galaxy their true face. And the galaxy was not prepared for what they were about to see. President Nam Soo-jin walked into the Galactic Federation Council chamber for the first time in her life. The alien leaders had demanded that humanity explain their deception, and she was here to give them answers they would not like. For 200 years, the Federation had met in this great hall without any human representatives. They told humans that their species was too young and primitive to have a voice in galactic government. Now Soo-jin stood at the center of their circle, representing a civilization they had never truly understood. The 12 species of the Federation Council stared at her with fear, anger, and confusion. The Zarathi High Speaker, a tall blue alien with 6 arms, spoke first. "Explain yourself, human," the Zarathi said. "How did your primitive species build a fleet that can defeat the Vorthak? How did you hide this military from us for 2 centuries? Soo-jin smiled, and somehow that simple expression made every alien in the room feel nervous. "We hid from you because we were protecting you," she said. "Not from us, but from yourselves." General Bae Young-ho stood in the war room on Earth. watching troop movements across 50 different star systems. His ground forces had been pretending to be farmers, miners, and construction workers on worlds across the galaxy. Now they were dropping their disguises and revealing themselves as the most advanced military in known space. "General," his aide reported, "we have confirmed bases on 3,000 worlds. The aliens think most of these planets are empty space or uninhabitable rocks." Bay nodded. Humans had been very careful about which worlds they colonized. They chose planets that other species could not live on, or places so far from major trade routes that no one bothered to explore them. Over 2 centuries, they had built an empire that stretched across the galaxy, and no one had noticed. Back in the council chamber, the Melonian ambassador, a creature that looked like a giant flower with tentacles, waved her petals in distress. "You have been spying on us for 200 years, she said. "You have been lying about everything. How can we trust you?" "You cannot," Sujin replied calmly. "But that does not matter anymore. The time for trust is over. Now we must speak about truth." Engineer Oh Hee-jin activated the holographic display system that had been hidden in the council chamber's walls. The aliens gasped as images appeared around them, showing human technology that should not have existed. "This is a human battleship," Hee-jin said, displaying a massive warship that dwarfed anything the aliens had ever built. "We have 500 of them. This is a human defense station." A space fortress appeared in the air, bristling with weapons. "We have them protecting every major star system in the galaxy, including yours." The Vorthak representative, a scarred warrior named General Krex, snarled at the humans. "Impossible. We have the best military intelligence in the galaxy. We would have detected your ships and bases." Hee-jin smiled. "You detected exactly what we wanted you to detect. Your intelligence networks have been under our control since the day you first made contact with us." She changed the display to show Vorthak military communications. Every message, every battle plan, every secret meeting had been recorded and analyzed by human intelligence services. "We have been reading your mail for 2 centuries, Hee-jin said. "We know about every military operation you have planned before your own soldiers do." President Su-jin walked to the center of the circle again. "The Galactic Federation has existed for 5,000 years. In that time, you have fought 47 wars, committed genocide against 12 species, and enslaved millions of people. You call this civilization." The Federation leaders began to protest, but she held up her hand for silence. "We could have conquered all of you at any time in the last 200 years. Our technology is centuries ahead of yours. Our military is larger than all of your forces combined. Our intelligence networks control your communications. But we did not conquer you because we hoped you could learn to be better." The Zarathi High Speaker leaned forward. "If you are so powerful, why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue hiding?" "Because the Malari genocide proved that you will never change on your own," Sujin said. "You had a choice between doing what was right and doing what was easy. You chose easy. You always choose easy." General Bay's voice came through the communication system from Earth. "Madam President, we have reports from across the galaxy. Our revelation has caused panic in 17 star systems. 3 alien governments are mobilizing their fleets against us." Sujin nodded. She had expected this reaction. "General, are our forces ready?" "Yes, ma'am. We can have the situation under control in 72 hours. The Federation Council heard this exchange and realized something terrifying. The humans were not worried about fighting the entire galaxy. They were confident they could win. "How many humans are there, really?" asked the Melonian ambassador. Hee-jin displayed a new hologram showing human population centers across space. The aliens saw thousands of worlds, billions of people, and a civilization that had been hiding in plain sight for centuries. "We told you there were 8 billion humans on Earth," Hee-jin said. "The real number is closer to 400 billion, spread across 3,000 worlds. We are not a small primitive species that got lucky with space travel. We are one of the largest civilizations in the EU galaxy, but your technology was so primitive when you joined the Federation," protested the Krex. "Your ships were slow and weak. Our first contact ships were designed to look primitive," Sujin explained. "We studied your species for 50 years before we made contact. We learned your languages, your cultures, and your weaknesses. Then we built ships that would make you think we were harmless." She paused, letting that truth sink in. "Every human you have met for the last 200 years has been an actor playing a role. Our diplomats are really intelligence officers. Our traders are really military scouts. Our scientists are really weapons researchers. We created an entire fake civilization to interact with yours." The room fell silent. The Federation leaders were beginning to understand the true scope of human deception. They had been living in a carefully constructed lie for 2 centuries. "Why?" asked the Zarathi High Speaker. "Why go to so much trouble to deceive us?" Sujin's expression became serious. "Because we have been preparing this galaxy for something much worse than the Vorthak Empire. Something that destroyed our original homeworld 3,000 years ago. Something that is coming back." She gestured to He-Jin, who changed the display to show deep space sensors and early warning systems. "We have been building defenses, training armies, and strengthening civilizations because when our real enemy arrives, you will need to be strong enough to help us fight them. The Vorthak genocide proved that you are not ready yet." "What enemy?" demanded General Krex. "That," Sujin said, "is a story for another day. First, you need to decide if you want to work with us or fight against us. Choose quickly. Our patience with Federation politics has run out." The aliens looked at each other, realizing their entire understanding of the galaxy had just been shattered. The weak humans they had ignored were actually their secret protectors. The primitive species they had dismissed was more advanced than all of them combined, and somewhere in deep space, something much worse was coming toward their galaxy, something that had already destroyed one human civilization and was hungry for more. Fleet Admiral Shin Woo-jin stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Promise, watching enemy fleets gather in the darkness of space. 3 months had passed since humanity revealed their true nature to the galaxy, and the reaction had been exactly what he expected. Fear had driven 12 alien species together to form the Pure Galaxy Coalition. They called themselves freedom fighters trying to save the galaxy from human tyranny. Woo-jin called them cowards who could not accept that they had been outmatched for centuries. "Admiral," his sensor officer reported, "enemy fleet approaching. 2,000 ships from 7 different species. They will be in weapons range in 1 hour." Woo-jin nodded and looked at his own fleet. 50 human warships floated in perfect formation, waiting for the battle to begin. By any reasonable calculation, they were outnumbered 40-1. The aliens probably thought this would be an easy victory. They were about to learn why humans had never lost a space battle. Colonel Park Jun-ho crouched in the shadows of an enemy space station, watching Vorthak guards patrol the corridors. His Special Forces team had been on this mission for 3 days, moving through the station like ghosts. Their target was the Coalition's main communication hub, the system that coordinated all their military operations. The aliens thought their space station was impossible to attack. It was protected by energy shields, automated defenses, and a garrison of 5,000 soldiers. But they had made one mistake. They had built it using human technology that they did not fully understand. Every computer, every power system, every life support unit on the station contained hidden programs that humans could activate. The Coalition had been using human-designed equipment for decades, never realizing they were surrounding themselves with weapons pointed at their own hearts. "Team leaders report," Jun-ho whispered into his communicator. 5 voices answered him. His soldiers were positioned throughout the station, ready to disable every critical system at the same time. In 10 minutes, this fortress would become a prison for its own defenders. Dr. Lee Han-nul worked frantically in her laboratory deep inside a human battle station. The Coalition fleet was massive, larger than anything humans had fought before. Traditional weapons might not be enough to win this battle quickly, and quick victory was essential to prevent massive casualties. She had spent 40 years developing theoretical weapons that broke the laws of physics. Today, theory would become reality. "Quantum destabilizer is ready," she reported to Admiral Woo-jin. "Fair warning, sir. This weapon has never been tested in actual combat. The effects might be dramatic." Back on the Iron Promise, Woo-jin smiled as he received Han-nul's report. Human scientists had always been told to think of impossible things and then figure out how to build them. The results usually surprised even other humans. "Understood, Doctor. Prepare to fire on my command." The Coalition fleet came out of hyperspace like an angry swarm of insects. Ships from 7 different species spread across space in a formation that should have been impossible to defeat. Their commanders were confident. Even if human ships were better than expected, numbers would win the day. Admiral Rexon of the Vorthak led the Coalition forces from his flagship, the Galaxy's Fury. He had spent months studying the human victory over his people's fleet, learning their tactics and preparing countermeasures. All ships, he broadcast to his fleet. Remember that humans use deception and tricks to win battles. Stay in formation. Do not chase damaged ships. Do not break rank to pursue targets. Fight as one unified force and we cannot lose. His tactical officer nodded. Sir, human fleet is holding position. They are not moving to attack or retreat. They appear to be waiting for us to make the first move. Rexon studied the tactical display. 50 human ships against 2,000 coalition vessels. The humans were either incredibly brave or completely insane. Open fire, he commanded. All ships, maximum firepower. 2,000 alien warships fired their weapons at the same time. The space between the fleets filled with laser beams, missiles, and plasma bolts. It was enough firepower to destroy a planet all focused on 50 human ships. The humans disappeared behind a wall of explosions and energy. For a moment, the coalition crews cheered, thinking they had achieved easy victory. Then the smoke cleared and all 50 human ships were still there, completely undamaged. Impossible, Rexon shouted. Nothing can survive that much firepower. Admiral Wu Jin activated his communication system, speaking directly to the enemy fleet. Thank you for the demonstration. Now let me show you what human weapons can do. The Iron Promise fired a single weapon. Dr. Hanuel's quantum destabilizer created a ripple in space itself, a wave of impossible energy that moved faster than light toward the coalition fleet. When the wave hit the first enemy ship, something beautiful and terrible happened. The ship began to come apart at the molecular level, its atoms forgetting how to hold together. In seconds, a massive Vorthak battleship became a cloud of glowing particles that drifted away into space. The wave continued through the coalition formation. Every ship it touched simply ceased to exist, not exploding or burning, but dissolving into basic elements like sandcastles hit by ocean waves. In 30 seconds, Hanuel's weapon had destroyed 300 coalition ships. The surviving aliens watched in horror as their friends and comrades were unmade by forces they could not understand. This is Admiral Shin Wu Jin, the human commander, broadcast to the remaining coalition forces. You have 10 minutes to surrender. After that, we will use more weapons you have never seen before. Colonel Jun Ho chose that moment to strike at the coalition communications station. His team activated their hidden program simultaneously, and the space station's own systems turned against its defenders. Life support failed in the military command center. Gravity generators malfunctioned, sending enemy soldiers floating helplessly through corridors. Computer systems shut down, leaving the coalition fleet without central coordination. In 5 minutes, Jun Ho and his 20 soldiers had captured a station defended by 5,000 enemies. Fleet Admiral, Jun Ho reported, Coalition Command Center is under our control. Enemy forces are cut off from their leadership. Without their communication hub, the coalition fleet began to fall apart. Ships broke formation as captains panicked and tried to retreat. Some aliens turned their weapons on their own allies, thinking they had been betrayed. The careful coordination that was their only advantage disappeared in minutes. Admiral Rexon watched his perfect formation dissolve into chaos. Half his fleet was trying to run away. A quarter was fighting among themselves. The rest was still trying to attack the humans, but without coordination they were just individual targets waiting to be destroyed. All ships retreat, he finally ordered. Return to base immediately. But Admiral Wu Jin was not finished with them yet. Hanuel, he said into his communicator, show them what our regular weapons can do. The human fleet opened fire with conventional weapons, and the coalition learned another terrible lesson. Human missiles did not just explode when they hit targets. They burrowed into enemy ships and then released swarms of smaller weapons that destroyed everything from the inside. Human laser weapons did not just burn holes in armor. They created feedback loops that turned enemy power systems into bombs. In 20 minutes, the battle was over. Of the 2,000 coalition ships that had attacked the human fleet, fewer than 300 escaped. The rest were destroyed or captured, and not a single human vessel was seriously damaged. Admiral Rexon's flagship was one of the ships that survived, but only because Wu Jin wanted him to carry a message back to his leaders. Tell your governments, the human admiral broadcast to the retreating coalition forces, that this was us being gentle. We held back because we still hope you can learn to be better. If you force us to fight you again, we will not be so merciful. The coalition fleet jumped into hyperspace carrying news of their defeat back to their home worlds. Behind them, human ships began rescue operations, saving enemy crew members from destroyed vessels and treating their injuries. Dr. Hanul powered down her quantum destabilizer and began working on even more impossible weapons. The galaxy was learning what human science could create, but she had barely shown them the beginning of what was possible. Colonel Jun-ho secured the captured space station and began downloading intelligence about coalition military plans. What he found made him smile grimly. The aliens still thought they could win this war through conventional tactics. They had no idea what humans would do next. Chancellor Lim Ki-tai stood before the rebuilt Galactic Council, looking at faces that showed a mixture of fear, respect, and resignation. 6 months had passed since the coalition's defeat, and the galaxy had finally accepted the new reality. Humans were not just another species in the Federation. They were the Federation's protectors, teachers, and guides. The war was over. The coalition had surrendered after losing 90% of their fleets in battles they could never hope to win. But surrender was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of something much more important. Fellow citizens of the galaxy, Kite began, for 3 centuries we have let you believe that you were weak. We convinced you that you needed our protection, our guidance, our technology. Today I am here to tell you the truth. You were never weak. You were only unprepared. Ambassador Song Ye-jin watched the alien representatives carefully. She had spent decades studying their psychology, learning how each species thought and what motivated them. The next few minutes would determine whether the galaxy united or fell apart. The Zarathi High Speaker, the same alien who had demanded answers from President Sujin months earlier, leaned forward in his seat. "What do you mean, unprepared?" he asked. Kite activated the holographic display system, showing images of deep space beyond the galaxy's edge. Strange ships moved through the darkness, alien in ways that made even the diverse species of the Federation look similar by comparison. 3,000 years ago, our original homeworld was destroyed by an invasion force from outside this galaxy. We called them the Devourers because they consume everything they find. Planets, stars, entire solar systems, all turned into resources for their endless expansion. The council chamber fell silent as the images showed massive ships that looked more like living creatures than machines. They moved through space like predators hunting prey, and wherever they went, star systems died. Scientist Jang Min-ho stepped forward to explain the technical details. The Devourers are not like any life form in our galaxy. They use technology we are still trying to understand. They can eat entire planets and turn the matter into more ships. They can travel faster than light without using hyperspace. They can adapt to any weapon used against them. "How do you fight something like that?" asked the Melonian ambassador. "Together," Kite replied. "Our ancestors tried to fight them alone and they failed. Earth was destroyed, and only a few million humans escaped in colony ships. We have spent 3,000 years preparing this galaxy to do what our ancestors could not." Song Ye-jin began displaying new information about each species in the council. Every civilization in this galaxy has abilities that we lack. The Vorthak are natural warriors with incredible strength and endurance. The Zarathi have perfect mathematical minds that can calculate solutions to impossible problems. The Melonians can communicate with each other instantly across any distance. She paused, making sure every representative understood what she was saying. "We did not guide your development to make you weak. We guided it to make you strong in ways that complement our own strengths. You are not our subjects or our clients. You are our partners in the greatest battle this galaxy has ever faced." General Bae Young-ho appeared on the communication screen from Earth's military command center. "Chancellor, our deep space sensors have detected the first Devourer scout ships entering the galaxy. They are still 2 years away from inhabited systems, but the invasion has begun." A shiver went through the council chamber. The threat that humans had been preparing for was no longer theoretical. It was real and it was coming. 2 years, Kite said. That is how long we have to finish preparing this galaxy for total war. Not war between our species, but war for the survival of all life in this galaxy. The Vorthak representative, General Krex, stood up. "What do you need from us?" Kite smiled. This was the question he had been hoping to hear for centuries. "We need you to stop pretending to be civilized and start being warriors again. Your people have incredible fighting instincts, but you have been trying to be diplomats and politicians. The Devourers cannot be negotiated with. They can only be destroyed." He turned to the Zarathi High Speaker. "We need your people to help us solve mathematical problems that our computers cannot handle. The Devourers use weapons based on physics we do not fully understand. Your minds are the only things in the galaxy that might be able to figure out how their technology works. Song Ye-jin addressed the Melonian ambassador. Your species' ability to communicate instantly across any distance could coordinate the defense of the entire galaxy. Human technology is fast, but your natural telepathy is instantaneous. One by one, Kite and Song explained how every species in the galaxy had abilities that would be crucial in the coming war. The careful genetic and cultural guidance that humans had provided over the centuries had been designed to develop these abilities to their maximum potential. You see, Kite continued, we never tried to make you dependent on us. We tried to make you into the best possible versions of yourselves. The Malari's compassion will help us remember what we are fighting for. The Vorthax warrior spirit will give us the strength to keep fighting when hope seems lost. Every species brings something unique to this alliance. Jiang Minho began showing technical specifications for new weapons and defenses that combined human technology with alien abilities. Vorthax strength could power weapons that human muscles could not handle. Zarathi mathematics could solve targeting problems that human computers found impossible. Melonian telepathy could coordinate attacks across light years without any delay. The Devourers destroyed our first civilization because we tried to fight them alone, Kite explained. They will not destroy the civilization because we will fight them together, using the combined strengths of every species in the galaxy. General Krex looked around the council chamber. How do we know we can trust each other? 6 months ago, half the species in this room were trying to kill the other half. Because, Song said softly, the alternative is extinction for everyone. The Devourers do not take prisoners. They do not negotiate. They do not leave survivors. Either we work together, or we all die separately. The holographic display changed to show battle plans that covered the entire galaxy. Human fleets would provide mobile firepower and advanced technology. Vorthax ground forces would defend key planets with their legendary fighting ability. Zarathi scientists would develop new weapons and countermeasures. Melonian telepaths would provide instant communication between all allied forces. This is not a human plan, Kite emphasized. This is a galactic plan. Every species contributes according to their strengths. Every species shares in the victory when we win. When we win? Asked the Zarathi High Speaker. Not if, when, Kite repeated firmly. Because failure is not an option. This galaxy is our home, and we will defend it with everything we have. The council voted unanimously to accept the new alliance. Species that had been enemies for centuries put aside their differences to face the threat from outside their galaxy. The age of separate civilizations was ending. The age of galactic unity was beginning. As the representatives left to prepare their worlds for war, Kite remained behind with Song. They looked out through the council chamber's great windows at the stars beyond. Do you think they understand? Song asked. Do they realize that we have been preparing them for this moment for 3,000 years? They are beginning to, Kite replied. The masquerade is finally over. No more pretending to be weak. No more hiding our true nature. No more lies about what we are. In the depths of space, human deep space sensors tracked the approaching Devourer fleet. Thousands of alien ships moved through the darkness between galaxies, consuming everything in their path as they prepared to devour another galaxy full of life. But this time, they would not be fighting one species trying desperately to survive. They would be fighting an entire galaxy that had been preparing for their arrival for 3,000 years. They would face warriors who had been taught by the survivors of their last victory. They would encounter weapons and tactics developed specifically to counter their abilities. Most importantly, they would discover that the humans they had driven from their original home had spent all those centuries learning the most dangerous lesson of all: how to turn enemies into allies, and how to make every species in the galaxy stronger than they ever thought possible. The Devourers were coming to destroy another galaxy. Instead, they were about to learn what happened when an entire galaxy fought back as one unified force. The masquerade was over. The real war was about to begin.